Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be back with District Governor Jay Hislop to talk about what's going on in Rotary around Central California. We like to call the show Rotary in the Heart of California because this really is the heart of California that we're talking about. And Rotary does so much cool stuff, fun stuff, impactful stuff. We love talking to you about it. I'm excited to reintroduce our district governor, Jay Hislop, who leads District 5220 of Rotary International here in this area of California. Governor Jay, thank you so much for being with us. It's so fun to do this every month.
It is. Thank you, Devin. And I really appreciate you hosting this and giving us this opportunity for the district to get out into the world and have other people aware of who we are. And also, the Rotarians in District 5220 are really enjoying this. I'm hearing a lot of very positive feedback and comments from people about, wow, I did not know that about Rotary.
Yeah. And if we're a week late, I start to hear about it from them too. So I know they look forward to every episode. So this is great. I'm glad we got this together. It is great to catch up with you every month or so. Jay, the heart of California here, this central part of California, it really is a diverse area. We have some amazing territory. We've got a very agricultural route here with all kinds of orchards out the wazoo. And then we've got the Yosemite National Park right here. There's just a tremendous diversity of cultures and communities, small towns, big cities. I think one of the things that we need to talk about now is kind of the cowboy culture that is a part of this region that I think a lot of people don't fully understand. Even people who live here, but who work for Amazon or for technology companies, maybe they don't know anything about the cowboy roots of this area. Tell us about it.
Well, thank you, Devin. I'm going to have to make a order of change here. Yeah, California is very much a cowboy country. I think people think of California as beaches and surfers, and that's true. Wineries and people enjoying cheese and wine, and Chardonnay at the theater. Well, that's true. I think they also need to understand. People need to understand that in some years, it varies from year to year, but often California is the number one cattle producing state in the nation. Certainly Texas is always the biggest beef cattle producing state in the nation, but we've also got a big dairy industry here. And a lot of our ranchers are actually dairy farmers, and they ranch a different kind of cattle, not for beef, but for milk and veal. And their operations are huge, to the point where many years we produced more cheese than Wisconsin. But we don't wear a cheese hat. We wear a cowboy hat. And so, yes, and our district is blessed with some of the richest heritage in cowboy country, USA. And we're talking about the West and the far West. And when you think about our district is from District 5220, ranges from Galt almost to Fresno. We stop at Madera, including Madera, and from Mountain House right up against the Coast Range to the Pacific Crest. There was a time when our district included Monterey and the Central Coast and went all the way down to Bakersfield. But as Rotary grew, the need for districts to become smaller geographically so that they would have a similar number of Rotary clubs and a similar number of Rotarians, our district has shrunk geographically. But our district includes most of the gold country, the historic gold country, from San Andreas to Oakhurst along what we call the Gold Chain Highway 49. But just below that are towns like San Andreas, of course, is both. It's gold country, but it's also cattle country. Angels Camp Murphy's gold country and cattle country. But probably one of the big ones that we're really proud of because they've maintained their cowboy heritage is the city of Oakdale, which is in the heart of California and in our district. And there's several Rotary clubs in Oakdale. Just a little bit of history. Oakdale was known as the Cowboy Capital of the world beginning in the 1920s. It's still a city where you find saddleries and horse traders and ranch suppliers, stockyards. It's a real cattle town. One of our past district governors, Tia Saletta, who was my district governor when I was Rotary Club president in 2016, is a cowgirl and makes her living boarding horses on her ranch. We have in our district people that are directly involved in the cowboy business. Yeah.
That's cool. Now, there's a big event coming up shortly. Tell us the Oakdale Testicle Festival.
That's right.
What on earth is the Oakdale Testicle Festival?
It's what makes a beef a steer. And you got to do something with those. And so traditionally on cattle drives, this was something that was done around the campfire and still is, as the young cattle, the young beef were made into steers. The parts that were removed were turned into a delicacy. And so the Rotary Club of Oakdale has turned that into a world famous festival. That's on Monday, March 20th. And I think there's still tickets available if you want to come to our district and enjoy something that you've probably never had before. And Gail and I are going. We're very much looking forward to it because I get to wear one of my cowboy hats and rub elbows with some of the real cowboys in the world and just enjoy a really fun event. By the way,
gosh,
California, and especially this part of California, right here where we live and where we work, our district, when people think about cattle in the West, a lot of times they think about these movies where there were cattle drives in the dusty, dirty plains of Texas. And they were driving those cattle to market, typically to Kansas City, to get them on trains to go to Chicago to the stockyards. And that's what the movies were based on, and everything seems to be centered around that. That era ended a long time ago. But Devin, you know where there are still cattle drives every year?
No, where?
Right here in District 5220, because the cattle ranchers, men and women, load their cattle first into cattle trucks and take them up into the Sierra Nevada mountains and release them into the wilds of public lands in the Sierra Nevada. This is also done in the mountains of eastern Washington and eastern Oregon. And those public lands support multiple use, including hunting, fishing, camping, off-road vehicles, and hundreds of thousands of cattle. Every year in the spring, they run up where the snow melts, and underneath that snow, there's lots of feed. And then in the fall, they have to go up and do a cattle drive and go out into the forests and the meadows of the vast Sierra Nevada and find those cattle and drive them down and separate them into herds by ranch and load them back up onto trucks and take them down for winter pasture in the Central Valley and the foothills of California. And Oakdale is one of the centers of that activity.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to point out, Jay, that we've got a QR code on the screen here. People can scan that QR code to learn more about the Oakdale Testicle Festival.
Yes.
I still can't believe it's called that. But that's why it's world famous, right? Because who can believe they would call an event the Oakdale Testicle Festival? Famous around the world. Truly is. I started doing a little Google search and holy cow, it is genuinely famous. So if you're interested in checking this out, I scan that QR code, learn more, and join the club there in a couple of weeks.
Now, just while we're on Oakdale, just before we get off that, I just want to mention that even in the history of Oakdale, music was, and still is, less so now, but music was an important part of the development of cowboy country in California. And when our district went to Fresno and as far south as Bakersfield, we kind of have a lot of cross-pollination between those areas. And many people don't realize that some of the most famous country western performers came out of Bakersfield, which at one time was in our district. Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Wayne Stewart. And they would perform in places like Oakdale, also more major places, Modesto and Stockton, and certainly Madera and Merced. And Oakdale was a particularly attractive place for people like Bob Wills. And Gene Autry would come to Oakdale every year to perform. Tex Ritter came to Oakdale every year to perform. So in the heyday of the early development of probably what people refer to more as cowboy music now, but it was the inception of country western music. California, Bakersfield, all the way up to Sacramento was one of the hearts of the development of that musical style, right here in District 5220.
That's amazing. What fun. What fun. You mentioned the San Andreas Club, which is part of this cowboy culture. They've got something coming up as well. Tell us about what they've got coming up.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of cross-pollination in the United States between cultures. And San Andreas, yes, it's gold country, it's cowboy country. But if you think of a guy like Jimmy Buffett, for example, born in Newfoundland and lived for a while in Nova Scotia, and his family made their way to Biloxi, Mississippi, and kind of created a very unique music and lifestyle. We kind of adopt that sort of, okay, anything goes in the state of California. And so San Andreas, years ago, the Rotary Club of San Andreas decided to start a Ragin Cajun Festival. And that's coming up pretty soon, Saturday, April 25th. I've been to it several times. They closed Main Street, and there's, I think, 3 stages with live music going on throughout the day. Of course, Cajun food, including real crawdads. And so the food's delicious. Andouille sausage, the special rice. Yeah, everything is very authentic, but it's in California, so you get the California vibe. You get the foothill culture of people from flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts to cowboy boots and cowboy hats, or everything in between, kind of the Kenny Chesney style where you wear a cowboy boot and a t-shirt and flip-flops. And to me, that's California, sometimes at its best. I'm not saying that it's not fun to go salmon fishing off the coast of California or surfing in Huntington Beach or Pleasure Point in Santa Cruz. I've done all those things. But we also have this very lively and interesting culture right here in District 5220 in San Andreas, California. The place is packed. It's very popular. If you can make it, head up there.
It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I would just point out, we've got a URL where you can get tickets, sanandreasrotary.com/Ragin Cajun. sanandreasrotary.com/Ragin Cajun will get you tickets to that event. Sounds like it's going to be an absolutely wild time.
It is. Well, it's both wild and mellow. It's California. It's whatever you want it to be. They use your imagination, go there and have fun. And oh, by the way, there's a giant crawdad that runs around the streets, and he walks up to everybody and says, "Do you know where the nearest hot tub is?" I'm not sure he knows exactly what's going to happen in that hot tub.
Yeah, that's right.
It's pretty hot. Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. It sounds like they're having a good time with that event. Now,
it's always a good time.
One of the things that Rotary does especially well is kind of leadership development.
That's right.
And Rotarians take this very seriously. And I want to, for instance, you let us in just a month ago, a great day of leadership training. I wonder if you just describe some of what happened at that event, because I think people are missing some of that leadership development that they used to get in employment in other places. It's just kind of missing now.
Yeah. When I was younger, a lot of my friends that went into corporate life had available to them tens of thousands of dollars of leadership training from their corporations or private businesses. And I know I've been in 2 professions, dentistry and law. And we do have reasonably good professional training in terms of continuing education in dentistry and continuing education in law, partly because there's a requirement for maintenance of your license in most professions to have continuing education, a certain number of hours. And years ago, there was very excellent leadership training. Leadership training in professions and industry has fallen by the wayside in this generation. And what Rotary does, Rotary is a leadership organization. It's not just a service organization, but it's an organization where we build leadership. We find potential leaders as young as in their teens, and we develop leaders through training. The particular leadership training that you're speaking of was our last Leadership Academy in February. And then at that Leadership Academy, we used the University of California at Merced, the large ballroom there, and had 150 attendees from all over the district, where they came to learn about leadership specifically, how to run an excellent meeting, how to be a better speaker, what resources are available to enhancing your leadership. And we had excellent speakers come, professional speakers, both from Rotary International and Rotarians who do this for a living. We had Heather Knockett, who delivers a program on developing a better speech and how to be a vibrant and active leader of a meeting. It was one of the most excellent presentations on giving a public speech that I've ever attended. And one of our other speakers who came from Rotary International, Nick Taylor, who's in charge of the entire Western Hemisphere in terms of club development. Nick Taylor gave an excellent program on how to focus as a leader. And that was interactive with the audience. And at the end of that, we produced a document on tools for Rotary Club presidents to use as action plans to build their clubs and to create better meetings. One of the things Nick said was, listening to Heather, who comes from our own district, he said, I learned several things from Heather that I wish I would have known before I gave this presentation, because I think it would have improved my own presentation. And he's another professional speaker. So this is the quality of presentation that we're getting. And I want to just give a shout out to our Dean of Learning, Ana Boyanga, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Schools in Atwater, and she's a specialist in adult education. So we are redesigning and always updating our materials and our presentations to really have the best of how adults learn. So that's the Leadership Academy. But I want to circle back to another part of your question, and that was, we train young individuals as well, teenagers, particularly high school students.
Sure.
We have Interact clubs, and the Interact club is a service club, but by becoming an interactor at their high school, they have opportunities to learn to lead by leading their own Interact club. And we have Interact club leadership programs. So some of those kids and others that aren't in Interact can apply to attend what we call RILA, the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. And that's a 4-day session over President's Day weekend at Camp Oakhurst and Camp Calvin Crest near Oakhurst, where 100 boys gather in the boys' camp and 100 girls gather in the girls' camp. And they go through a very intense leadership development program and peer respect and peer collaboration program. And it's not just a learning program about leadership, but it's a personal development program that leads to better leadership. I've been a counselor there. I've been a speaker there. And I have to say that most of the young people that complete that program tell us it's a life-changing experience for them. So we're very proud of that. And finally, when someone enters a leadership track in Rotary, for example, they want to become Rotary Club president, we begin a series of online leadership at my Rotary Club Central at the Learning Center. And so there's very short modules that are designed for adults who have limited time. They can go in and take a 15-minute module or a 20-minute module. Each module builds on the one before. And as you build in an area of expertise, it may be community service, it may be public image, it may be learning to lead. Then they come to a program that we hold once a year called the President-Elect Learning Seminar. And that's a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. That's all about learning to lead a Rotary Club. Excellent program, speakers from all over the world, all over the United States, and a very tailored leadership program for people to learn to lead in general, but also specifically to learn to lead a Rotary Club. And I have to say that the people come through that, they will tell you if they're involved in a business that has meetings, that they learn to run their business meetings better than anyone else in their company. Being a Rotary Club president gives leadership skills that go far beyond running a Rotary Club meeting. So we're pretty excited about all of our leadership training.
It really is remarkable what Rotary does. And I'm especially proud about the leadership training we provide these kids at RILA. I think about this life-changing event at such a pivotal moment in time. You're 16, 17 years old, and you have this opportunity to experience something that's completely outside of your experience up to that point. It's not just euphemistically life-changing. This is course-changing. This is genuinely, I am now on a different path, a different trajectory.
Yes,
My
absolutely.
outcome in life is different. Isn't that true?
Yes, it's absolutely true. I'll just mention two examples. The campers are in cabins together. So they have to they get together, they don't know each other, they come from different high schools, and they get together typically in groups of 8. Each cabin has a counselor. And when they arrive at camp, they get to know each other and they form a cabin name. And then they compete together as a cabin in a variety of different things: engineering competitions, music competitions, they do sporting competitions. But what they need to do is learn to get to know each other, get together and collaborate. What is essentially a group of strangers who are, the only thing they have in common is their age peers, because this is a very diverse group of individuals that really does reflect how our district looks, who lives in our district. And so each cabin can have a variety of different sorts of people that are in the cabin. And at the end of the weekend, these boys that are together in a cabin or the girls that are together in a cabin really know, respect, and appreciate each other. And the process that they've gone through to learn to do that in such a short period of time, they will remember and use that skill for the rest of their life. They end the weekend with what they call a strength bombardment. So there are all these activities, most of them are camp-wide. So these 100 kids in 12 or 15 different cabins are all together, and then they're working individually when they're cabins. They come together again. So they pulse in and out of large group activities and small activities. But the team is together most of the time, except when they're in their specially assigned areas. They may go to engineering, they may go to sports, they may go to newspaper or photography and video. So the whole cabin isn't at those different sites during the day. At the end of the weekend, and they get together, just their cabin again with their counselor, and they do what's called a strength bombardment. And each young person in the cabin sits with the counselor while everyone else in the cabin tells that person what their strengths are and what they appreciate about them. And, I can speak, I've only done that obviously in the boys' camp, and I can speak from experience that some of those boys have never heard so many people say so many great things about them in their entire lives. And it's an emotional experience. And that itself is life-changing, to have your peers sitting around in a group in a small area in a cabin and telling you and this isn't soft stuff. This is really what they learned about you. This is really what they appreciate about you. This is who they know you are. And there may be no other people in your life that have ever done that with you before.
Yeah. It really is, I think, a perfect example of the kind of community impact, life-changing community impact that Rotarians have in the community.
Yes.
And as we talk about this leadership development, one of the great leadership development events that we haven't talked about yet is the annual district conference that is open to all Rotarians in the district. And frankly, if someone isn't a Rotarian yet, we'd love to have them join us, right?
Yeah, they're guests. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Far West Fest as you're planning that for May 1st through 3rd in Reno.
Yeah, the district conference in our district includes plenary, what we call plenary sessions, where everybody gets together and here's a motivational speaker or an inspirational speaker or even a comedian that has a message. And at those events, that's the learning portion of the event. But the event is also a time for Rotarians to get together and enjoy each other, to meet other Rotarians from other areas, and to enjoy the fellowship of like-minded people who have similar values, who share your values, and want to collaborate, make friendships. And it's also a celebration of what we've accomplished during the Rotary year. If people haven't attended a district conference, to me, it's the highlight of the district year. This is one of the biggest ones we've ever planned. Sherry Roosh and John Roosh are our conference chairs, and they're planning a wonderful weekend at the Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. So be there. I'm losing my voice here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great event. I know I'm gonna be there. I'm excited. A lot of people from our club, the Stockton Club, are planning to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've been to the Grand Sierra many times. I've lost track of the number of times I've stayed there. It really is a nice property. Recently renovated too. I'm excited to see how it looks now. So this is really worthwhile. I think it's also a great deal. We've got, the hotel rooms are cheap for Rotarians, but you got to get in the block because that will end any day now, and then the prices will go up on the hotel room. So this is
right.
This is going to be a great event.
People can ride the train up from Martinez or from Sacramento. So we'll have kind of Rotary cars, on Amtrak, and we'll be able to have a little bit of an early party on the train. Probably one of the best train rides in the world, up over Donner Pass and into Reno.
It is absolutely spectacular. Having done it, spectacular.
Yeah, going to be fun. Yeah, and I see the district conference as not being purely a training session. We really want to have fun. There's a bowling tournament, lots of fun events associated with it. I think a lot of leadership happens by meeting people, learning who you can work with, making friends, and then having people you can call on who, when you call on them and say, hey, we've got a project we're going to do. I've got a committee that I'd like you to serve on because we're doing these great things in District 5220, and we'd like them to respond by saying, I'd like to be part of that. Thank you for asking. So, and I think we get there by people making friends and getting to know each other. And that's part of the purpose of our district conference.
Yeah. Jay, thank you.
Thank you, Devin.
As the district governor, you're the busiest person in the heart of California.
It's been a busy.
You hardly get to sleep. Thank you for making time for this. This is such a fun way for people in the district and people who live in our community to connect with you and learn more about what we're doing. So thank you very, very much. We'll look forward to catching up with you again next month.
Thank you. Thanks, Devin. And just before we sign off, I'd just like to tell the non-Rotarians who are listening into this podcast or watching the podcast, please, there's a place for most people in Rotary. If you're interested in service, if you're interested in making friends, if you're interested in the nobility of your own work and you would like to share that with people, then find a Rotary Club, visit the Rotary Club and see if it's something that you might want to participate in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great message, Jay. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
the
you,
time.
Devin.
All righty now. Let's do some good.
Rotary in the heart of California, service above, self is how we live.